we're just getting through some technical stuff, and we're gonna go ahead and bring the meeting to an opening. I'm gonna go ahead and sit down and get comfortable here. First of all, thank you, everybody, for coming out. I knew we would have a pretty good crowd, but this surpassed what I thought we would have, but we're glad you're all here. So tonight's agenda will be as follows. You can see it up on the screen, but essentially, I will give some opening remarks, then we'll hear from my two associate commissioners, and then we will turn the floor over to our representatives from the YMCA, and they will give their presentation on their end of this. Yes.
We want to welcome those who are on Zoom. So far, there's about 35 to 40 people on there.
Right.
I hope they can see us. I hope they can hear us.
Right.
My technical skills are pretty thin, and I'm working on it. It was supposed to be also up on the agenda, but the whole burned. So anyway, that's the technical stuff.
We're going to go ahead and forge ahead. So once again, my name is Randy Rizika. I'm presiding commissioner of St. Genevieve County. To my right, I have Corey Ford, associate commissioner, District 1. Mark Marbury, all the way on the end, doing technical stuff. He's associate commissioner, District 2. I'm going to go ahead and get into the purpose of tonight's meeting. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to be a factual presentation on the partnership between St. Genevieve County and the YMCA. We will cover many topics regarding this matter this evening, and I have every confidence that once you see the facts, it will become obvious that this will be a positive step forward in a journey to secure the future of the community center and water park and its facilities. First, the county commission will present, as I told you all afterward, and then we'll have our folks from the Y speak. I will first address the elephant in the room. The community center and its related facilities have not been sold. That was the big thing this week that blew up. They have not been sold. St. Genevieve County shall continue to retain all properties related to the campus. St. Genevieve County is still responsible for the bond debt owed against said properties. The county will continue its lease with the Bloomsdale property. All facilities at this campus, as well as the Bloomsdale facility, will remain in operation. All current memberships will be honored by the Y. All current CC employees, community center employees, have been given the opportunity to stay on with the Y. At the time of transfer, all current county employees will receive all the benefits they're entitled to as county employees. This is very important because as we were weighing this decision, something that was extremely important to all of us was that everybody that's currently employed here gets the opportunity to continue. We would have never done this if people were going to get fired or laid off or dumped. It's not the way we operate. So everybody gets to keep their jobs. We're currently in a transition period whereby our partners are here on site to work with the current management and staff to secure a smooth transition to the new management by November 1st. By entering into this partnership, we will be able to sustain the future of the facilities and improve and expand programming. The next item that I'm going to address is that this partnership is not unique. The YMCA currently manages many government-owned facilities. The city of St. Louis has two of which, then they have an agreement with the YMCA. The city of Fenton has a rec center and water park very, very similar to the facility that we have here, which is an excellent case in point. And it is going to, as I get into my next points, you'll find out how that ties into this and how we got here. So, in the interest of transparency, obviously on social media there's been concerns expressed that this was done in secret. Here is a timeline of exactly how this came to be. Approximately 1 year ago, a little over a year, I received a phone call from a constituent who I had never met. Nice gentleman, introduced himself on the phone, and said he'd been watching in the newspapers and, you know, and on TV, all the stuff that goes out. And he understood the concerns that we have and the financial difficulties we have, particularly with keeping this place afloat. And he said that he was, and he's a county resident, by the way. He said to me that, he asked me if I was aware of the Fenton YMCA, and I said, well, I knew it existed, but I didn't really know the particulars. So in the course of our conversation, he elaborated on the fact that they had a facility very similar to this that was built by the city and the financial difficulties they had. And at its worst point, they were bleeding approximately $1 million a year. It was unsustainable. They couldn't figure out a way to make it work and save it. Obviously, they had debt on it. So he just happened to have the mayor of Fenton's phone number. I called the mayor of Fenton, Joe Moran, really nice guy. So Joe and I had a great conversation on the phone, and he invited me up to tour the facility and to open his books to me. Made the appointment, went up there. We did it. He was very gracious with his time. We spent, I think I ate up a morning of the guy's time. And when he was telling me the position they had been in and where they ended up, I thought I was on, some of you may be old enough to remember a show called This Is Your Life. Okay, well, that's what I thought I was doing. So through that, and actually I had more than one conversation with him, excuse me, he gave me contact information for a representative from the Y. I reached out to them. We had and this was all just me by myself. We had an initial conversation on the phone, which was quite pleasant, and they were very much aware of this facility. It was on their radar because that's what they do. They knew about us, they knew how beautiful this facility was, and I said, I would like to engage you in a conversation about, let's see if this is gonna work. I mean, you know, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. So they agreed, and some folks came down, and we talked. And after the conversation, we agreed that, you know, this is something that could conceivably work. But again, you never know until you go down the road how things are gonna pan out. After a few conversations with myself, then I shared this with the current commissioners at the time. Corey was not with us at that point. It was, of course, as you all remember, Karen Stuckey. And we went and we toured the St. Louis facility with some folks from the Y, and we were duly impressed. So that led us to, again, farther down the road, where we engaged in formal talks about how do we make this work, which led to, of course, formulation of contracts, which of course led to involvement with legal on both sides to make sure that it was, first of all, legal, and that it would be beneficial to both sides. This progressed all throughout last year. Then after the election, and we lost a commissioner and gained a new one, Corey was brought up to speed on it, and he was also in favor of doing this. So all that came to be, right? That brings us to July 7th, a little over a week ago. The afternoon of July 7th, the county commission met with representatives from the YMCA, and an agreement was signed. That agreement is to continue forth into the transition period, and into the facility will be managed by the YMCA. The agreement is not finalized. There's a reason it's not finalized. That is because they are still assessing. And I'll get to how that's going to work in a minute. I just wanted to lay that groundwork. So, we We signed the contract late in the day, Monday on the 7th. Tuesday morning, I believe it was a Tuesday, July 8th, Matt Clark here and I went and met with Brad Arnold, and we informed him what was going on. And of course, Brad was surprised. Nobody knew this was coming. But out of respect for him, the very first person that should know about this should be the director of the facility. After that, we had meetings with staff. We spent the entire day out here getting them acclimated. Also on the 8th and into the 9th, press releases were sent out to every media that we could get a hold of, local, over into Farmington, surrounding counties, right, Mark? Went out everywhere. Okay. So something I want to emphasize, because it has been, whatever, it's been said that this was done in secret. This was rolled out exactly the way it had to be per legal. Per state statute, 610.021, subparagraph 2, all contract negotiations and legal are closed session and confidential. Also, per 49.270, the county commission has ultimate authority over all activities as relates to county property. So, now I'm going to give you a little background. I don't think it's a secret to anybody, I hope not, the financial problems we're in. Plain and simple, the financial position that the St. Genevieve Community Center is in could only be described as dire. This is no one particular person's fault. Nobody's getting blamed for it. It is what it is. There are a number of reasons. We've had some tax setbacks, but the original structure of the way it was all laid out, it was never set up to be money, to be a money maker, to be a profit center. Things have gotten worse. Times change. You can't foresee these things. I don't blame anybody for it. I don't blame previous commissioners. The decisions that were made at that time were based on the information that they had at that time. So, no negativity there whatsoever. Community center budget is currently operating on a deficit, borrowing monies from the county general revenue that it cannot pay back. Currently this year so far, they have borrowed $210,000 to keep this place open. Mainly because of the extremely, it's a lot of money, the bond payments. There is no reserve, there's no sustainability, there's no spare money bucket. It doesn't exist, okay? And if you know anything about what the county's going through, we don't have it either. So the path we're on, it cannot continue. It's beyond continuing. The current bond debt service is approximately $1.5 million a year until the year 2037. Yeah, we've got a ways to go. To pay off, the payoff as of this week, and we just made a bond payment, is $12,115,000 and some change. It keeps all of us awake at night. I have some things here that, you know, I don't really want to get too far into the weeds, but I do have some numbers here that we can go over later. But suffice to say, it's been running at a deficit for a long time, or just barely breaking even. There's no financial way forward as far as creating any extra revenue with the way things are being operated at this time. I just want to say, in as much as we cannot change the past, we shall change the path forward. As county commissioners, we are the chief executive officers for county business. It's our duty and obligation to make the best choices possible to preserve the financial solvency for the county. Thus, this takes us to why we have formed this partnership with the Y. Also of importance, something that I want to address that's been brought up is separate from county funds, completely unconnected, There also is a community center foundation fund and board. That was set up when Marjorie Bussin donated to the county to make all of this possible. This is a separate fund, completely not connected to the county budget. It was set up with the purpose of keeping money aside to secure the future of all of this. At the time of its inception, there was $3 million put in and invested. Per the agreement, only the interest accrued during a given fiscal year could be withdrawn for certain needs. There is a clause, however, which allows monies exceeding the interest revenues amount to be withdrawn in times of emergency. This was to be approved jointly in such a situation by the Foundation Board, the Community Center Board, and the County Commission. The last withdrawal was in 2018 in the amount of $200,000. And that was to bridge a shortfall when the water park was built, when the expansion was done here. The current balance in the said fund, last time I talked to anybody, is around $1.4 million. So over time, monies have been used on it. Now, it's very important because some people are afraid that that went away or somehow we got a hold of it. Those are the only conditions whereby we can ever tap into it, and we have to have permission and joint approval to make that happen. So I want everybody to know that fund still exists. At this point, I'm going to turn the floor over to Corey Ford, First District Commissioner, and he's going to have a few words. Mark will say some things, and then we'll hear from our partners. So, Corey?
Good evening. Thanks for coming. My name is Corey Ford. I'm Associate Commissioner for District 1. Prior to taking office in January of this year, I was aware of the financial hardship placed on St. Genevieve County by legislation passed in Jefferson City, but I wasn't aware how bad it was. Please allow me to go into some history of how this facility came about, if there's anybody here that does not know. In prior years, the County Commission placed 2 half-cent sales tax issues on the ballot to support the bond debt used in construction of a community center, a sports center, and a water park. The citizens of our county voted to approve these ballot measures, and the projects were complete. Here's how we got here today. Statute number 144.054 attached to Senate Bill 153, also nicknamed the State Tax Reform Bill, in a nutshell, exempted mining and manufacturing from paying local sales tax. This reduced our county's tax revenue by approximately 30%. And essentially stripping away tax revenue that the citizens of our county voted to pass. Tonight, there will be an agreement and disagreement, but the one issue that I'm certain that everyone in this building can agree on is that our state legislatures violated Article 10 of our state constitution, also known as the Hancock Amendment. So after reviewing budgets, it became evident to me that we needed to explore a change in direction that would keep the community center campus on a path to sustainability. So when I was informed of the preliminary discussions with the YMCA, I thought it was a good option to explore. In the first meeting with the YMCA, I was impressed with their level of professionalism, which comes with a very structured business model that has proven to be successful for many years. Through the whole process of crafting the agreement, the YMCA team is always easy to communicate with and recognized all our concerns. I want everyone to know that every decision that we make in our meetings is what we feel will benefit our county. And this is one of them. I'll end with this: whether we agree or disagree, we should always remember to treat each other with dignity and respect, because that's what God expects of us. Thank you once again for coming, and may God bless St. Genevieve County.
Now, Mark.
Excuse me, Mark Marbury again, Second District here. I'm going to speak on the lack of transparency, and I understand concerns about that. I am kind of considered the stickler for procedure, propriety, and doing things the right way. There's only one way to do it, and that's the right way. And I also actually do believe in transparency. Coming up in September, I haven't set the date yet, will be the 3rd annual local government town hall. I set that up, this, like I said, this will be the 3rd year. We're going to have the mayor, Brian Kime, he will speak, the 3 commissioners speak, and I haven't talked to our legislators yet. I think they'll be here. Brian's back there. I know where to find him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, and all that is to speak about the concerns of the community from the local to the state level, and to receive questions and concerns. I wish we had even half of what I see here tonight for that, but we don't.
We encourage all of you.
And we encourage all of you to be here. The bigger crowd there is, the happier I am, because people are interested in our local community. Another thing is, there's been concern that we were going to shut down the community center, or we didn't have the, I don't care, I guess the lack of care about it. We spent over $1 million in the last 3 years on a new roof for the original community center and the masonry work that needed to be done. Parking lot and things like that. That came out of ARPA money. That was money the federal, or the state government gave us through the federal government. We don't have that anymore. And I don't know where that million would have come from with a roof ripped off by a storm. We don't have that kind of money. And as there is no reserve fund, there's always, when we get these bills, or we get people coming in saying, this HVAC unit doesn't work, or this doesn't work, or that, it's never $500. It's in the tens of thousands. HVAC unit, we think it's gonna be $12,000. I think the community center could pay for that one. I'm not sure right now, because the water park's going big guns.
Yeah.
Folks, this is not sustainable as it is. And as he said, we all stay awake at nights trying to figure out how to make this work. The YMCA, there's at least 6 staff members that I could see here tonight. They're obviously heavily invested in this. There's others that were here that I don't see here tonight. There's been an immense amount of staff and work already being done, and we're not even close to the actual transition of November 1st.
Right.
And I'm going to revert back to the lack of transparency in a lot of these things. We worked continuously with our attorney on this, and he is a specialist in local governments. We consult with him constantly to make sure that what we were doing was the right thing. And, that's why we have him. And of course, the YMCA has an attorney. They both work together on this deal. Our attorney went through a lot of stuff. When he first got the first draft, he scratched out a lot of stuff, and he had a lot of questions. This isn't throwing him the keys and say, here you go. We went through an immense amount of negotiations. They've been, so far, have been very excellent people to work with. The only time I kidded one of them, the only time I had problems is when he said it's gonna cost $400,000 for a new flooring or something for the playground out here.
That's not his fault.
That's not his fault,
No.
but that kind of ruined it there.
Yeah.
But there you go, $400,000.
Right.
Anybody got that? You wanna write the check for that? We don't have it. So I think there's several things that I hope that we are taking care of tonight. I do appreciate this crowd. I appreciate, how many's on there now? Do you want to see?
77.
77 on the
Good.
Zoom call.
Good.
I set up a Zoom, that's the first time I've had more than 3 or 4 on there. So I hope it's working out. I hope they can hear and see us. They can, okay.
Okay, good.
I don't want to go any farther with that. Anyway, I think that's fine, and I think now at this time.
Yeah, at this time, we're gonna turn it over to Matt Clark, who is District Vice President for YMCA in this region. And then I will let Matt introduce everybody else as he sees fit, so I'm gonna give the floor to you, Matt. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Corey and Mark. We appreciate it. As Randy said, my name is Matt Clark, and I'm a Vice President with the YMCA. I've been worked for the YMCA for about 25 years, and just love this work. It's an amazing mission-based organization that I hope that each of you find a lot of value in. So we're going to talk a little bit about the highlights, but before I do, I'd like to introduce my peers and really the brains of the operation. Aaron Darche is also a Vice President with a specialty background in aquatics and helps oversee our aquatics programs for the entire YMCA. Tom Verhan is a Vice President as well, our counterpart, and helps to oversee sports and other programs for the entire association. So he's already been talking to Brian quite a bit, learning about some of the systems. And then finally, it's my pleasure and honor to introduce our boss, Jared Beard, the Chief Operating Officer for the Gateway Region YMCA. Also here, Randy mentioned Rebecca Bishop is the Executive Director of the Jefferson County YMCA, so appreciate her support and coming and visiting. And Millie Matronia is a Senior Vice President at the River Chase Y, which is in Fenton, which Millie was very interested in. And thank you for coming. So you've already had some conversations with some staff about what that transition might look like, because she worked for the city and then works for the Y today. So appreciate all the support. A little bit about the Y, in case you're not familiar. We're far more than the song, I assure you of that.
It's not your favorite song either, he told us.
You can only hear that song so many times. But what we are is a 175-year-old charitable organization. And through that entire history, it's been our mission to identify needs in the community and then solve for those needs along with partners, right? And so was our tradition, that was our origin story, and that's what we do today. Now, it so happens along the way we got good at a few things. We made a lot of mistakes, but we also worked out a pretty good model that we found that our communities enjoy and find value in having memberships to the Y. We focused heavily on the family memberships, right? So we want mom and dad and all the kids to come and learn to swim and learn the value and power of sports and all the other benefits of programs in those areas. We were super excited when, from our perspective, we were super excited when we got the call, because your community and this community center has a positive and favorable reputation throughout the state and into Illinois, certainly. And so we also recognize that St. John has a very unique history and is really a gem in the state. Like, it's amazing how many people come to your community and value all of the experiences and the culture and the atmosphere that you have. So of course we were interested. So we get the call that says, hey, can you help? And we absolutely answered that call. So I mentioned and the center itself. I'll tell you right now, like, we know through our data that cleanliness is the #1 reason people terminate memberships. Your facilities are phenomenal. Like, there hasn't been a day here where this place, all the buildings weren't clean and well maintained. And that was another piece that really made us feel like, hey, we should have this conversation. So the conversations went on for quite a while, and a lot of visits and a lot of what ifs and those things. But I wanted to give you a sense and kind of help paint the picture of what it might look like when this Y is up and running by giving you some examples of what we're doing in our other facilities. We're not quite sure what all is going to be here, because we have to work with the staff team to determine the needs of the community and create the program palette that's going to best fit this community. But in some of our communities, we're doing some pretty neat things. In our typical membership model, group exercise classes is a key component for us. And so I've been able to speak with some of the instructors, and we talked about what that looks like and our strategy around that and the importance of timing and content. I would think that we're probably going to have over 60 group exercise classes per week by the time this is over, by the time the transition's complete, and through into next year as membership grows. So that's a big focus for us. Personal training, nutrition programs. I love to see the community kitchens. Education around nutrition is just as important as diet and exercise, so we do a lot in that arena. All of our members always get preferred pricing on all of our youth programs, so that's definitely a benefit, so you can enjoy that piece. And also, the Hidden Gym, there are 24 other YMCA branches in the Gateway region across Illinois, 14 states, 15 states, 14 counties, sorry, not states, 14 counties, thank you, that's why he's the boss. There are 24 other facilities that we have a join one, join all model, and so if you work in St. Louis or work in passing through Jefferson County by Rebecca's Y, your membership there will be as good as it is here. There's also a nationwide program, so if you're traveling to Florida, places like that, most Ys across the country participate, so that's a nice aspect. And then we also are unique in that we have one of the 3 camp and conference centers in the country that are owned by YMCA's. And so over in Potosi, Missouri, about an hour and 15 minutes from here, is Camp Lakewood and Trout Lodge. As members of the Y, you get a preferred pricing for visits and activities at YMCA of the Ozarks, Trout Lodge, and Camp Lakewood. Other ways that we'll try to add value that we've done in many of our other branches is the expansion of the exercise classes and functional fitness classes. So hopefully, we get our wheels under us, you'll start to see some upgrades to some of the approaches on fitness classes, like high intensity interval training beyond the Group X. Child Watch is a program, that's the name we use for it, where we want mom and dad to be able to come in and check their child into a high quality child care program while they go and take their class, or maybe the other one has a swim lesson. And we also believe that Child Watch should be included in that membership value package, so that it just removes those barriers and encourages families to come and participate. Swim lessons, the first swim lessons, group swim lessons, were actually invented by YMCA. And so we have a very steep history in that area, and we have a huge responsibility of keeping kids safer on water. And so we want everybody to know how to swim. It should not be an option, it's a life-saving skill that we feel like every child should learn. And adults too, if you don't know how, we do adult classes in some of our wives. Overall program quality in the key areas, we've been talking to some of the staff, we think we can bring some help there. And then I wanted to spend a minute on the for all part of our mission. So our mission is to put Christian principles into practice through programs that build healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. And the for all we take very seriously as well. So I got to meet with Major Schott and learn a little bit about some of the what we call in the Y language the adaptive programs that are happening right here. It's amazing. It's right in line with exactly what we're doing. So we have inclusion services where we take kiddos and help them be successful in the regular programs. And we also have adaptive programs, which are programs that are invented specifically for populations that can be served through that, much like the Challenger baseball field. Beyond that, we have evidence-based chronic disease programs. I was super excited to see the Parkinson's program that's going on here. I don't know if the instructor's here or not, but kudos to you. That's a wonderful program. We also have programs in chronic disease prevention that for cancer survivors. And that's a very specific certification and training. Blood pressure self-monitoring and diabetes prevention are also evidence-based programs that we offer in our YMCAs, and we'd love to, if that's a need in our community, we want to bring those here as well. In addition to that, we think kids should read. So we have a literacy program out of our central offices. We also have a summer camp readers program. So if your child is in day camp with us, there are so many minutes throughout the week and then again throughout the summer that we encourage reading to help prevent that summer learning loss that can happen so many times. STEAM programs, teen programs are near and dear to our heart, and so we spend a lot of time there. Mental health support, and then I mentioned safety around water, but we also have a Go for Green program. We will eventually, it has to be funded, and then we'll implement. But we basically, if a kid's in camp and they let them go to the pool, and if they know how to swim and can pass the swim test, they get a green armband. Well, those kids that don't get a green armband, we decided, let's not put a life jacket on them, stick them in the shallow end, let's teach them to swim. So we'll take them straight over into a swim lesson while the camp is going on to add value in that way. Child abuse prevention is something that we hang our hat on. We are an accredited child abuse prevention organization through a organization known as Presidium. We received that accreditation last year, and we're super proud of that because we take the responsibility of caring for other people's kids very, very seriously. And so we'd like to talk about that. With just a quick mention, with the 24 locations, we do have purchasing power options that we think we'll be able to apply here and help with some of those expense savings. We all buy copy paper, we all buy toilet paper, we all buy paper products, things like that. So we think we can do that, bring some value there for you. And then we also have the ability, so we can reach out to folks across the country and have peer networks, so that if we ever encounter something we haven't as a staff team, and your staff team will benefit from this too, is this networking. So Millie can pick up the phone and call Rebecca and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, have you ever seen this before? And so we see a lot of value for the employees in that way. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to share is we had a couple of conversations around accessibility with some meetings I've had this week. One of the things I'm the most proud of is at the YMCA, we never turn people away due to inability to pay. So there's going to be the price, and then if someone needs help, there's always financial assistance available. So same quality, it's the same camp next to the kid that's paying full, and nobody knows the difference. And so that financial assistance program applies to our programs, membership, and across the board, and it's something that we definitely hang our hat on. So while we are super excited about the potential and about this partnership moving forward, we believe that we can help Central maintain its identity and offer programs that you all want. And we're going to form a board that you're going to tell us what you want, what the program should be, and you're going to help us guide the staff. And we hope, we feel, and we know we can do that in a very financially sustainable way and help to ensure the future of the center. That's what I have for you.
Silver sneakers. Got it.
Silver
sneakers.
I apologize.
Everybody wants
It
to
was
know.
probably in here. And
I know,
skipped it.
but that's the burning question.
So Silver Sneakers, if you're not familiar, some insurance companies provide benefits that include memberships and access to various health-serving organizations. The YMCA is included in that, and we are huge fans of it, as a matter of fact. And so Mellie's shaking her head because in Fenton we have a lot of seniors that are on third-party pay, whether that's Silver Sneakers or Radioactive or some of the others. And we absolutely accept those memberships, and we don't, like some other health clubs, like even limit, like, oh, you're a Silver Sneaker, you can only come these hours. You're just a member with us, so absolutely.
So, was anybody going to have a?
I think they're here to back me up for Q&A.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. One thing I wanted to touch on is as this has gotten rolled out, one of the big things that people have a hard time wrapping their head around, and I'll admit in the beginning I did, is, well, if you guys can't make ends meet, how are they gonna make ends meet? Well, the easiest way I could put it, and they can elaborate on it way better than I can, it's what I call, in the business world, it's called economy of scale, right? I go to the hardware store, I buy a box of bolts, I pay 50 cents a piece for them. Ford Motor Company buys it by the railroad car, and they're a penny a piece. Okay? By tapping into their network, the things that we need to operate this place, we're in their network. So the things they have access because of their buying power, it helps to drive the cost, the operational costs down. It's huge, because we get eaten alive on stuff. Repairs, okay. Repairs are always gonna be expensive, any way you look at it, but again, with their network, if it's something that, say, our maintenance people can't handle it, we do a lot of stuff in-house. We have excellent maintenance guys. I can't say enough good about them. YMCA was very impressed with them. And hopefully they stay with us. It looks like they will. But if they get to a point and they need help, there's support through the Y. You know, these are just a couple of ways that how they can drive the costs down. You know, and there's many more. But you know, I just wanted to add that little piece. So I guess we're at the point where we will accept questions and answers. The only thing I'm going to say here is, anybody that wants to ask a question, it's only about this. We're not going to go off into any other county topics tonight. There'll be another town hall for that, as Mark said, later in the summer. We don't have an official date yet. And if somebody's asking a question, of course, please be respectful. And we'll ask you to come up, state your name, and listen to them, because we don't want the same question asked over and over again. So, anyway. Yes, Mike?
All right, a couple questions there. First of all, membership, how does that work? If you would, does it carry over from the community center to you guys? Or do they have to reapply for membership? Two, is if you're a member of the Y, like my mother is in Sykeston back home, can she come up here and do things with the Y with you guys, or is it totally separate, like the JCs? Where you have to just do things over and over per city? That's my first question, but I heard one of you guys.
Those media people.
The membership component is complex, as you can imagine. Everybody that has a membership today will continue to enjoy that, and if they paid for their annual membership, they are good. We're gonna honor all of those things. What we have to work out in the next 95 days, or whatever it is, till November 1st, is we have a form, like a membership group, and the community center has a membership offerings group. We literally have to work with the staff to map those over before we can even determine what that structure looks like. I can tell you the philosophy that we use to get there, though, is we look at a household of 5, mom, dad, kids, and if they are members on, I think we looked at the monthly or the annual, they're members at the community center and they take out a water park membership. Our initial numbers say that they're paying in the $60 range. If you average that out over 12 months, we do not anticipate going any higher than that, because it's not a good thing to do from the outside.
As part of the Y.
I'd have to check specifically. So the nationwide program, I am not familiar with the Sykeston Y. They are not a part of our association.
You're the gateway.
Yep, we're Gateway Region, and so Sykeston is what we call an independent Y system, so they're their own Y, own board. I'd have to do some checking on that specific one to see if the nationwide program, if they've opted into that.
Final question, sports.
Yes. Tom.
Nice to meet
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I'm a sports editor with the St. Louis newspaper, also run the impact football league and everything. Our football programs, as well as, speaking for the natural disasters and Fury and all those guys, we're kind of separate from the community center, but we also use their facilities, whether it's the Progress Parkway here for volleyball, you name it, the football field and the River Dogs baseball field. How does that work? Do we have to come to a new agreement with you guys to still stay here, or are we gonna be on our own, finding somewhere else to play and practice?
Yeah, good question. Those are all details that we'll work through, as Matt mentioned, over the next 100 days. I can just give a blanket statement that we're committed to ensuring relationships and partnerships that are already intact and having those carry on. The reason why comes to a town like St. Genevieve, community is really at the heart of all that we do, and having partnerships like you're referring to is exactly what community does. We're not interested in disrupting that. Enhancing it, making it stronger is something that we're interested in, but we're not interested in disrupting it.
All right, last question, I'll show tension with sports and everything. So basically, community center has the top soccer, the t-ball, baseball, softball, and everything, and then so there's the Y. So how does that change between what we do, I say we in the community center, and what the Y does? Does one take over the other? Or you do your own plan, or absorb what we got?
Good question. Yeah, those will become YMCA sports programs. Yep.
Melissa?
How and when does this advisory board come to fruition?
We don't know. What I will do is, Tom was actually the executive in Fenton and went through the transition and created the first advisory board there. So you want to talk about what that timing looked like and ended up?
Sure. Yep. Yeah, we took really the first 6 months just to work with staff, build the staff team, get the right structure in place, figure out the programming. And then once we started to get a little bit of traction on that and get some calm waters, then what we really did is we started going out and recruiting people. So we're committed to being in the community. So in Fenton, part of the Chamber of Commerce, part of civil and service organizations, and really started drawing relationships through different community services that I joined, which is already intact here with the things that the staff is part of. Millie is a Fenton resident and was a carryover staff member from the city to the Y. And so we would have staff meetings where I would encourage them to bring me 2 names of people that I could sit down and meet with that are either programs or supported the Y or really had questions. And then we also found like our biggest naysayer, the person that like said, this is dumb that Y's come to town. And she's 3 years now on the board and been biggest supporter of the Y, biggest fan of the Y. But we wanted that voice, right? We want to make sure that we're moving forward in a positive way for the community, and that means having diverse opinions on it. Yeah.
One more thing, I want time. I, as a member of the library board, reason why I would like, I'm not gonna speak for everybody, would like to know more about how much interaction we will have as a library board with this advisory board and with you, because we will still inhabit our spot, but the county still owns the land,
Correct.
the outside.
Building.
So we're gonna be on the inside with you, but on the outside with you, and we're
Right.
still paying rent to the county. So I know we've talked about this, but I'd also like the public to be aware that the library is not being taken
Absolutely.
under the auspices of YMCA.
Right, right.
Because, you know, we just missed out on passing our Prop L, and no judgment here, and deeply judgmental, but anyway, but I need the public to be aware, you know, that we're still functioning as our own entity,
Yes.
but we also wanna work together, so what's this gonna look like?
We're all neighbors, and you bring up, I'm glad you brought that up. I meant to talk about that, and
Yeah,
it slipped past me, but the library, the current other people who are on this campus that are not community center things, we have the library, we have the Missouri University Extension Office, and also the Sunshine Center. And all of those entities are still gonna be here. They're not going anywhere. The Y welcomes that, and they wanna incorporate all of that, not take it over. You're welcome to be here, and hopefully, we can all work together as neighbors. That's the end game here, so, anyway, go ahead, if you have anything else.
Nope, I think that's well
All right.
said.
Can I
Okay.
get in here something?
Sure.
We as commissioners, we're not just handing the keys to these people off. We are going to be active, and we're going to be in here looking and making sure that the county's interests are still protected. We're going to be, Corey's kind of took over what I did for a while there of making sure that the maintenance is handled properly, and it was being done a long time, that he's kind of eyeballing that, and he's gonna continue looking at that. Randy comes out here to walk, so he's still gonna be doing that. I'm still gonna be walking around here looking around things. We're still gonna be very heavily engaged, at least with the physical property, because it's still our responsibility, and it still belongs to the county. And we will be serious about continuing forward, that all that, I have no doubt, YMCA will do that. But we will still be doing our due diligence.
Well said, Mark. And another thing I want to add is, think of this as the beginning of a dialogue, okay? We're just starting, so there's a lot of adaptability with the Y. That's one of the things that appeals to us, so I'll just leave it at that. Carl?
Yes, thank you. I'm just a little concerned. We've obviously been gypped by legislators who, for whatever reason, did
Yeah.
not read legislation before voting on it.
Right.
And I kind of feel like here, I was expecting to hear some mention of numbers, like this contract is going to be for 5 years with an option of renewal, or
Okay.
we're gonna pay X to the Y, subject to these terms. And it really concerns me that you have done some negotiation for some period of a year. The Sunshine Law may allow you to keep that negotiation confidential, but it certainly doesn't require you to. You have chosen to keep it confidential for a year. And frankly, I've been here and I haven't heard a single number mentioned yet.
Thank you.
And I feel a little bit like if I'm not getting numbers, I feel like I'm kind of the legislator who didn't read the bill before voting for the bill.
All right, Carl, you raised some valid points. So first and foremost, the agreement that was signed is 5 years, okay? We didn't say that today. That was, I'll take the hit on that one. As far as the actual numbers, as we said, that is still being worked out because they have to do a complete analysis of where we are. Now, they will get a I'm gonna let you guys elaborate on that, how that works, because he can explain it better than I can. Please.
Can you stand up, please, so everybody can hear you?
So the, as Randy mentioned, there's still a discovery phase. Somebody asked me to stand up. That's going on. Brad and I have been working very carefully to try to get to the root of what the actual financial impact is, down to the last penny. That is going on now. It won't be completed for probably a couple of weeks. And at that time, we'll go back to the commissioners. Probably gonna get in trouble. The contract has an up to amount to protect the taxpayers. It will be below that number once we figure out what's needed. Then we take that level of subvention that's been necessary to sustain this community center over the last, I don't know how long, many years. And it's our job is to start shrinking the dependency of the center on the tax, to be a burden on the tax base. That's what we're doing with Fenton, and that's what our goal objective is to do. Carl, I don't know if that gives you a little bit of the model of what we're looking at. And we have 5 years to perform, and if it's going well, then we have optional 5-year periods that both parties can agree to moving forward.
Right.
Randy, you have a percentage of what they're taking off your hands as far as financing, and you're keeping the properties and stuff when they're running the facility. How's that helping the county?
Well, simply by okay, so currently our payroll just for this place is $1.5 million a year.
What about the benefits?
That's with benefits and everything. Okay. No, that's a real number. That's a real number. Pretty close. So the way it works is they get, again, and this is we're still working through these numbers, but we give them a bucket of money, which I believe, what is the exact number we have, was $775,000. That's paid out quarterly. Okay. But you gotta remember, the people that were working for us as county employees are now going to be employees of the YMCA. So we're gonna give them money out of which they operate. Then there is a percentage which has not been fully lined out, an amount not to exceed, where they're gonna get a cut of what the gross is that comes in, all right? So the incentive is there for them to increase the gross, right? Then out of that, eventually, over time, this takes like years, they will start filling another bucket called the capital improvement bucket. And there are some people here who can elaborate on how that worked in fact, but it is a proven business model. Again, it has to be adapted to every given situation, but that's essentially how it works, okay? So if you look at it right there, there's a massive savings for the county in that we don't have that payroll expense. Also, all of the administration of that, which is currently handled by the county, which is massive paperwork and all of that, which is a cost, is now taken over, it's now assumed by the YMCA, if that makes sense. So that's another huge cost savings to us. So maybe somebody from Fenton can go into more detail about how it's worked over time.
Yeah.
Okay?
guess I'll stay.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I was the executive director that helped transition the River Chase Community Center in Fenton into a YMCA just over 3 years ago now. And I'll hit you with the real numbers from Fenton now that we had a chance to kind of work through this. So these are Fenton numbers specific to a pretty metropolitan area with a lot of communities nearby, right? So it's a standalone example. But the city of Fenton was losing around, on their yearly operations, around $1.4 million per year. And so the contract that we signed with the city of Fenton, which a lot of the contract that is being worked through with St. Gen is a carbon copy of that. You're looking at a loss basically rolling into a subsidy, right? So St. Gen has a loss on the community center, that loss becomes a subsidy to the Y, a not to exceed subsidy. So basically you're cutting your losses, stopping the bleed, if you will. So City of Fenton, $1.4 million paid out in quarterly installments. And that agreement set up that we basically have a operational reserve that the Y oversees, and the first, essentially the first $500,000 gets split between an operational reserve that the Y holds and a capital reserve that the city of Fenton holds, okay? And then the next $500,000 fills up those two buckets. So at the end of that particular part of our relationship, the city of Fenton would have a $500,000 bucket that they have an interest-bearing account that is for capital reserve. Should some of the examples that the commissioners mentioned, HVAC, pumps, big expenses, big facilities, right? And then the Y had a $500,000 operational reserve and an interest-bearing account. Should we ever not hit our budget or lose more than the $1.4 million subsidy that's coming in from the city of Fenton, the first thing we would do is pull from that operational reserve. The city of Fenton is not on the hook for anything more than what the subsidy holds, similar to what this agreement is. Once those two $500,000 buckets are full, the contract is written that anything that's net at the end of an audited fiscal year gets split between the city of Fenton and the YMCA. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you this just because I think it's important for you to know. So we're 3 years in, I'll tell you kind of where we're at with River Chase and Fenton. Not even remotely forecasting that to be our experience here, but I do want to tell you where we're at. In 2 years, we had both at the $500,000 buckets. And this is a city of Fenton that was losing $1.4 million per year and putting $0 into a reserve account. At the end of 2 years, we had both $500,000 reserve buckets full. We went from 700 units of membership, so we think of units as a family, like a paying customer. So that paying customer could be an individual, or it could be a family of 5. So we went from 700 paying customers per month to just shy of 2,800 3 years into that agreement. Both $500,000 reserve buckets are full, and at the end of the audited 2024, I'm not forecasting this, just so we're clear, at the end of the audited 2024 financial statement, we net $1 million last year. So both parties have a $500,000 reserve bucket full, and then we were able to go to City Hall after our books got audited and write them a check for $500,000. So they went from losing $1.4 million per year to having a $500,000 reserve account and a return check of $500,000, and we're exactly 3 years into that agreement. I might get some questions. I'll sit in case they're not from you.
Okay, bunch of hands went up. This was the first one I saw. Yes, sir. You, sir. Yeah.
You said quoted 700 members, and you went to 2,800 members?
Units.
Units, yep, family types, yep.
So that's what you're planning on doing here, is to increase the membership for the...
Yeah, I would say in short, our absolute goal is to increase the membership, 100%.
So what do we have now, members?
I don't know.
Brad?
Brad?
Probably 2,500.
Okay. That's total members, that's different individuals. Individuals.
Probably 1,000 units.
We don't,
All right.
we don't speak the same language they speak. That's
Right.
part of our barrier that we're working on.
Right.
So we're,
But that's just one of the ways that they increase the revenue. Because you have to increase the revenue and drop the operating cost. Joe, go ahead.
Okay, I've got a lot of grants, so
play volleyball, family volleyball here,
Yeah,
games.
right.
Softball, everything. What's gonna happen to the numbers? Are they gonna be able to still play here? Is it gonna
Yeah.
cost them more than they wanna pay? Do I have to drive over to St. Charles or
No.
somewhere to watch games?
No, their goal is to keep, they want to keep all those programs. They want all of that here.
So is the prices going up or down? That's the thing I wanna know.
We're still in the process, they're still in the
I
process.
don't know what
of
you're trying to today.
That's what I'm afraid
Yeah,
of.
right.
Our approach to a pricing strategy like that would be to look at the usage throughout the year and what the cost to maintain a facility is, and are the revenues coming in giving us the ability to maintain.
Well, what I'm saying is if they can't pay that, we'll probably be traveling to our grandkids.
So will the
Would not be our goal for you to leave.
No,
We
that's-
want your families
We
here.
want you to stay, okay? All right, I'm gonna take one from over here. Yes, ma'am.
I just kind of want to piggyback off that. Does the financial aid include the sports? Because my fear is, like, it's going to substantially increase from, we lived in Peebly, we did the Festus YMCA, and we did not have as good of an experience as we do down here. So that's my concern. Well, kids will miss out on opportunities because of that price increase, so does that financial aid carry over to the sports program?
Yeah, that's a great question, thanks. So the way our sports is set up is similar to what we were talking about previously about membership. So we have different tiers of programming, and that tier is based on demographics of the community, including like median income. We factor that in. And so what you pay for some maybe services at the Jefferson County Y that Rebecca see would be different than maybe what you pay at like our South City YMCA, as an example, okay? And so as we're creating and adding a whole bunch of new programming here, price sensitivity will 100% be at the forefront of those conversations. The current staff here will be at the table for that, and we'll set price points in both like swim lessons, aquatics, sports is what was mentioned. Everything will be tailor-made specific to the benefit of the members of St. Genevieve.
So also up there, if we were members, we paid one price. If we don't discriminate down here. So will that be the same as it was up there? If you're a member, you get a cheaper price. If not, you pay.
That's right, yeah, so it is set up that way, right? So we do have member pricing, non-member pricing. We're a member-based service, like you get the most value from the Y if you're a member. And so what we're working on right now, kind of behind the scenes, is how can we add, in St. Genevieve, specific to your community, how can we add as much value, regardless of the price point that's not been decided? How can we add as much value that everyone that might possibly use this facility would see the benefit of being a member? And that's included in additional offerings we're gonna provide, programming, the water parks being discussed, everything that you can imagine, plus additional things that we would wanna bring that we found success at other branches.
Okay, I'm gonna take one from this side of the room. Yes, sir. John, you're up.
Yeah, so
Where's your baton?
not tonight.
Okay.
So just looking at my family membership for the community center, I just had a year sign up for the family membership. It comes out to about $41 a month. Looking at the Festus Y family membership is about $82 a month. I think a lot of the concern you're getting from people, you talk about increasing revenue, that increased revenue has to come on the backs of memberships of the community from people in St. Genevieve. And I think that's where a lot of the concern is coming. You talk about Fenton being a very comparable facility. The membership there for a household is $60 a month. So we're talking about what could be viewed as a substantial price increase for the people in St. Genevieve. And I think that's, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I know for me,
Well,
increased costs, this, is a concern for everybody, so.
well, and that is a concern, and as we said, they're working diligently they tailor it to every community. Is it gonna stay exactly the same? We can't guarantee that, but I'll say this, even if it does go up, you know the situation. We can't go on like we are.
Right,
So-
but how can we expect to increase membership at the local Y and also increase prices?
By offering more. Okay? Okay?
There's people that can't afford it now.
Well, but again, as I said, they work with folks when they can't afford it. So there is a sliding scale thing. I'm gonna take one from way over there, you, sir. Yeah,
A couple of us in here offer
I
classes.
can't hear you, sir.
A couple of us in here offer classes, so
like 2 to 4 hours a week for work.
I still can't, I'm sorry.
We can't hear you. Yeah, we can't hear you.
Nobody can hear you, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We won't hear it. Okay.
A couple of us that are in this room teach classes here between 2 to 6 hours a week.
Right.
I found out about this on Facebook.
Right.
Am I gonna lose my class that I've been teaching for 2 years? Even if I only have small numbers, I'm trying to grow it, which that's another thing. Are you guys going to promote our classes? Because that will bring more money in here. Like, the program I teach is niche. There's maybe 15, 20 people that will do it. But if I had any promotion whatsoever, it would help my people come. Because I've taken it from 2 people up to 12 people in the last 3 weeks.
Right.
So,
Why don't you elaborate?
Is that
on
possible?
How many classes were you saying your goal was?
Yeah, and Millie, you can jump into your experience with that piece, but in general, to your point, like group exercise is huge for us, and it's a great predictor and helps people live a healthier life, which is our goal. And so we absolutely promote group exercise classes. We think we'll be in the 60s per week by the time we get to where we need to be. And then if Millie wants to jump in.
At the Fenton Y, I was teaching all of the classes. And so we had about 8 classes on the schedule when we were going into the transition. And today we have over 80 classes. Just our silver sneakers classes, we were doing 4 days a week, and we had about 40 people per class. We now offer for 10 silver sneakers classes, and we are getting 65 people per class. So we are definitely able to accommodate and bring in all of that.
are you promoting them?
Oh, for sure. Well, the other thing is that it is a part of your membership. Classes are a part of your membership, and that is a huge benefit for every person that comes in.
It is here too, but there's no promotion.
Yes, yes.
We also have an association team that will go to each community and find out what the best way is to promote in that community. So you will have that support, you'll have the added training that we provide for instructors as well. So it's going to be a very well-rounded experience for all the instructors, as well as you'll learn how to promote, well, you already know how to promote, obviously, if you've grown your class, but you'll have someone that'll come alongside you, your marketing team that'll work with you, that'll help you do that as well.
Okay, Doug.
You were describing your classes, the different classes that you have. For example, silver sneakers, I don't know how many different classes you have. Silver sneakers here, people just show up and walk. And all these other classes that you're having, what, if any, is that gonna push out something else? For example, our group plays pickleball every morning. Is any of those classes gonna push that out? Is it going to change? Are we gonna have to, instead of coming in at 7 in the morning, are we gonna have to come in at 10 to noon? You know, we have a routine set up that we've had set up now for
Right.
7 or 8 years.
Right.
I think our main goal is gonna be able to keep everyone's schedule the way it is. One great thing about this facility is you have so many different inside court options. I mean, there are cases in certain Ys that we have right now where the silver sneaker class has outgrown the room. No one wants to switch from 9 o'clock to a 10 o'clock, so they're in half of a gym for that class. But you guys have so much gym space that I think that we'll be able to accommodate almost all classes that you have right now, as well as your pickleball schedule.
Okay, one other question. We've hosted tournaments. We've donated the money to St. Jude. We've donated the money to the Cycling Cancer Center. How is that is that going to affect our continuance of having these tournaments and having, because we donate all the profits to, like I said, St. Jude and Cycling.
We don't anticipate that changing. I don't want to put you on the spot. Rebecca, didn't we partner with another nonprofit to raise money for a third-party nonprofit a couple of years ago? There's mechanisms for it.
Yeah, we do that. Yeah, we do it all the time. Off our facility to host various fundraisers.
Well, it comes down to cost. You know, in the past, we got the facility free, so which allowed us to donate more money to St. Jude and Cycling Camp. So will that change?
I would look to Brad on some of those pieces, and he's been great about giving me, like, it's hard to talk in generalities about a very specific thing and knowing what the history is and the relationships and how it all functions in the past, and then we can start looking at the future. I will tell you that if I were the taxpayers wanting to maintain this facility, I would think that you'd want to have somebody have skin in the game to re-clean the floors, scuffs on the walls, those pieces. When you give those things away for free, it's not free. It costs you as a center. Those would be the kind of conversations we have.
Okay, and then, well, and then Teresa, actually, Teresa's had her hand up for a long time. Let's
I tried.
the blood's draining out of her arm. Are you okay?
No, I'm okay with going there.
Okay, whoever it was here, yes.
So I think the other big elephant in the room here is clearly the transparency with which all of this took place. So I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
around that.
Go ahead.
First and foremost, like, when will we be able to see as taxpayers what went on, like, what was decided? I know you're still in talks to figure out the cost, but when will we be able to see the actual cost and what that's going to save us as taxpayers?
After everything's finalized, that should be, I would imagine, in November.
Okay, and second part of that, Fenton specifically, were they involved beforehand, their communities, in community talks before that took place?
I don't want to misspeak, so I'm actually going to defer to Matt because I got hired after the
Okay.
agreement was signed.
Yeah, so it was a very similar process with the concerns. The mayor called us, said, hey, we want more people, we want to serve more people. It was every one of these has been a different process though.
So were there town halls or anything like that ahead of that process starting?
It's a city municipality. I'm not an attorney, I don't know if that matters, but we attended a number of city hall meetings, things like that.
All right. So Teresa, you've been waiting patiently.
Yeah, so you talk numbers and, you know, we hear so many memberships and, you know, silver sneakers, you're gonna have 60 in these programs and that kind of stuff. So Teresa McClure, I'm a St. Genevieve County Community Board member. The number, we just don't have the people. So, you know, when you say this stuff, you know, again, it's not realistic, it isn't, because, you know, we're not a Fenton, we're not a Festus, we're, you know, local St. Genevieve. So, you know, I know in the overall picture, it maybe doesn't matter because we have a cap, but it's not being realistic that everything's gonna be, you know, everybody, you know, we're gonna have 60 here and so many memberships. We just don't have the people to pull, we don't.
Well, respectfully, that's your opinion. I don't agree with that. I feel like for what we have, it's underutilized. We're a county of almost 19,000 people. And I think we've just skimmed the surface as far as getting people to come in, okay? I think that City of Fenton is, again, the perfect example. You wanna speak to some of that?
I'm happy when you're finished.
No, I'm done.
Teresa, you're right on. Our pro formas do not have us growing to 2,800 units.
Okay.
And the difference between individuals and units, there's usually about 2.7 people per unit, if that helps anybody do the math of the 2,500 people we have here, puts you a little under 1,000 units. We do think that through our analysis and market penetration rates and what's possible, what we see in a lot of our YMCAs in similar communities, Washington, Missouri, and others, of what we think we can increase that penetration to is not get us to 2,800. It's not going to go from 7 to 28.
What kind of percentage is that? I mean, Matt, do you know?
On what our
On
target would be?
percentage, as far as, are you looking at, you know, maybe 25% more memberships, you know?
So our best estimates that we have preliminarily going
forecast,
into
yeah.
this is that when you talk about a market area, you look at about a 20-minute drive time in this case. How many households are in that circle, or that amoeba? And we estimate that you're somewhere around 10% penetration of what's possible in that circle. Yep. 11%. We think that we see in communities like Washington, Missouri, and some other, that this community absolutely has the potential to get up in the mid-20%.
Thank you.
Okay, Michelle.
Michelle Getzmeyer. So regarding that, Teresa, I would think though, also we have to take a look at the fact of what we draw in now. And as a facility for the water park, everybody was concerned about the numbers that we would draw in. Well, we draw in a tremendous amount of numbers from other communities.
That's true.
And I would think, and I would hope, I mean, having a son that lives in Festus said, you know, if I have a membership that's going to cover not only the facility, but the water park, with a family of 5, wouldn't it make sense for me to drive the 20, you know, probably the half hour for him
Right,
to come?
right.
So hopefully, we have enough insight that we can draw from not only our community, but surrounding communities that might see the benefit of this.
Right.
I don't think that's been established that that would be included, right? Is that correct,
Well,
Matt?
you can't.
I'm sorry, the join one, join all
Yeah,
concept?
yeah.
Our model to drive value for all Y members, a Y member is a Y member, a Y kid's a Y kid, and our model is a join one, join all model. So we
Okay,
have
yeah, I
access
must have misunderstood that argument.
Sorry, I tried to include that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay, I have one right here. Yes, ma'am.
So, I work part-time at the community center, and we, at the community center, offer one-time day passes for people who come in from outside and inside the community. And it was brought up to me, by a customer who wanted to know the changes with that. And so we looked on the YMCA website, and it took us a little bit to find it on the website, but it does say you guys don't offer one-time passes. Now, I haven't been to any of the other YMCA's, so I don't know if you offer it there, but will we still honor the one-time day passes for people who just wanna come in for that one day, or?
I think that, yeah, I think we're all like, hot potatoes. We are looking at what your day pass policy and our day pass policy. There's a little bit of discrepancy right now, but again, we're trying to make this as seamless as possible. So looking at what is best for your community, if it is to keep that, then we're gonna take a great look at that and see how that works.
All right. I'm sorry, what? Okay, all right, I will take somebody, gentleman in the green shirt. You, sir.
I want to ask, how many years?
I can't hear you. Your acoustics are terrible over there. Why don't you come over here where everybody can hear you?
How many years has the community center been operating in deficit?
I don't have all that in front of me, but I know at least the last 2 years, probably going back farther than that.
3 years. With this partnership,
Yes.
I'm assuming that a lot of the community members are thinking that it happened behind closed doors, and there wasn't a lot of insight, or the community didn't have a lot of say. And you'd read earlier that you guys ultimately had the final say in everything that happens with government property. But so we've been in deficit for 3 years. Was there any attempt to work with the current operating staff to figure out how to?
Yes, constantly. I've been in office I'm in my 5th year, okay? Mark's been here a little over 3, Corey's the new guy at 6 months. The county commission has been very active with working with them to try to improve efficiency and make it so that it's sustainable. Unfortunately, it's very structured, and again, this is the way it was structured when it was all conceived. It was never set up to be a moneymaker, okay? It was set up, though, to be sustainable. There are things beyond anybody's expectations that happen. One of them is a reduction in sales tax, which I hope is not permanent. The sales tax was actually the biggie that keeps this place going. And now we've gotten, a bad deal out of the state, which I'm not even gonna go into all of that. But yes, every effort was made to try to improve the overall efficiency of what we have here. But you reach a point, as a small community with what we have to work with, you reach a point where you realize this is as good as it gets with what we have, okay? So we're in this position, as I said, earlier in the year, okay, there's $1.5 million a year that go out in bond payments until the year 2037. Now, in the past, they have been able to make them, but it has gotten tighter and tighter and tighter. Last year, they finished out the year about $300,000 in the hole, but what has happened over the years is they will borrow money from general revenue, and then as the cash flow allows, they would pay it back. This year, they borrowed, earlier in the year, they borrowed $210,000 to make the bond payment. At the current rate, the way it's going, they won't be able to pay it back to general revenue, okay? So, we're faced with this financial impasse where it's not getting any better, okay? And we have exhausted everything that we could do to try to make it better. So, this is why we're doing a partnership. Because if you look at their business model, and again, this is not some willy-nilly, oh, well, we just do this. Okay, 175 years they've been an organization. They've been doing these partnerships for years and years and years. They have a proven track record of working. So this is why we did what we did. Okay? Fair enough?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sorry, real quick.
No, go ahead.
Because what I'm thinking is that we I don't want to sound terrible, we sold out to the YMCA, right? To
No,
do the,
we
well,
didn't
to do,
sell anything.
no, it's a figure of speech. To do the operating for
Correct.
for us,
Right.
You're offloading you're offloading the payroll and other things like that, and it seems to me that we had the staff, we had the people to. If we're going to increase rates, they could have increased rates. If we're going to create more programs, they could have created more programs. The community it didn't seem like the community had a lot of say in how this came about. Is what I'm getting.
Well, as I said earlier, first of all, this is the beginning of the dialogue, and we welcome community input. They're going to base, we all are going to base what we do going forward on the needs of the community. I'm going to give you another example of how things like this could work. St. Genevieve County had its own 911 dispatch center for many, many years. As time progressed, they couldn't keep up with the technology. They didn't have the money. It just wouldn't do it. There were numerous issues, and again, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but it just wasn't working. So several years ago, the decision was made to partner with the Allen Wells Dispatch Center over in Deloge. By pooling resources, they serve many of the surrounding counties. It works. They're able to keep up with the technology because they charge for their service. In the end, it was a way better deal, and it allowed St. Genevieve County to continue to have 911 service. This essentially is no different than that, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
One of the things, let me throw in something there when he's talking about that. That staff at the community center is stretched thin as it is.
Yeah, they are.
And they do have less than they used to. Why? We didn't have the money to pay them.
Right.
And it becomes a chicken or the egg thing. You want to increase income and you want to do new programming, but that costs money we don't have. I mean, I could sit here and in fact, I come up with a couple of 3 things that I thought would be good for the community, but there's no money to spend on the equipment to do it or increasing the staff to do it. So it's not the simplicity of, oh, we'll just do a whole bunch of things without having to bring in, you have to bring in more revenue first to do those things. And we did not see that path in any way, shape, or form.
And again, by cutting operating costs by partnership and by pooling resources, essentially, they're able to make these things happen without increasing the operating cost. That's it in a nutshell. Yes, ma'am. Anything? Yes.
Emily Guest, and you can't hear me. I have a statement and then a question.
Sure.
I might be the minority here, but I'm actually excited about this transition. I'm not a current member here, but hearing everything and the potential for classes to be offered in the future, I see the benefits for my children. So I'm looking forward to it personally.
Okay. All right.
And then question would be about the hours. So I guess we close at 9, don't quote me on that, I just did a quick
Right.
research. It doesn't look like the Y in Benton, like theirs is really consistent. It looks like maybe 9 to 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock. What do you anticipate for the hours here?
Well, again, I think it'd be tailored to suit the needs of the community, but I mean, I'll defer to you. What your thoughts on that are?
Rebecca, what are your hours?
We are 4:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 4:30 a.m. to 8
Friday, we have Saturday hours 7 to 4, and then Sunday hours 8 to 4. And sometimes we do change that too, depending on the season and what's happening at the Y. But the hours, I mean, that's custom to your range.
Sure. Normally about 100 to 105 hours per week.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Bob's had his hand up a long time, yes, sir.
I was just wanting to ask, I was looking up some stuff with the Fenton, and on the weekends and holidays, it's closed to the general public and it's members only. Will that happen here?
We don't think so. We don't know for sure, but in early talks with the staff, that's not a model that would work at this particular water park.
So there's nothing in the contract that says you can't do that?
It would not be, if our goal is growth, I don't think that would be a good direction to go.
Okay, all right. I think Michael had another question. We're gonna call you Columbo. One more thing.
One more is,
Okay.
speaking of staff, so kind of tell some of the fear that some of the staff might have is, you say you're gonna keep them, correct? Are they
Right.
gonna keep the same salary that they got currently, or are they gonna drop the pay, raise the pay? I think you said they're gonna not drop the pay, Randy.
That is correct.
Okay, that's all, so I want to make that part.
Right.
But also, so what about the benefits they receive from the county? Will that transfer then, or will they have
Well,
to? adjust?
as I said earlier, and I know it's a lot to digest, everything that they're entitled to as county employees, and it's a good benefit package.
Yeah.
When the transition is made fully and they become YMCA employees, should they decide to do that, they will take with them everything they're entitled to. So if they're invested in various things, they get everything that they have coming to them. Now, the wild card is there's vested and non-vested, and that has to do with how long you've been there. I'm not HR, I'm not even gonna begin to explain that, but we have HR people who do. As far as what they offer, I will let them speak to it, but they have an excellent benefit package, insurance, everything, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the key. If any HR folks in the room want to verify this, it's a sticky question. What I'm aware of is it's top of mind for all the staff. I've had many conversations, and it is our highest priority. Our HR folks have already been on site twice, including this Monday, to start. Basically have to map it out. Like the Y has a job titles that are approved and pay bands for those jobs, all those things. The county has the same thing. So what we have to do is on every individual employee, starting with full-time employees, is take where they are now and map that over to where that lands with us. That's a process, and it is our highest priority. It's begun. Joanne has been fantastic with helping our HR folks gather the data to do that. We couldn't have access to that type of personally important information prior to the agreement being signed. So that's a fast priority. In the case of Fenton, no one took a pay cut, and in many cases, folks got slight increases because our pay scale is based off of the St. Louis market. And so the benefits and other benefits, the total compensation package, that's very unique to every individual. We've got some folks that are less than a year away from becoming vested, so we want to do everything we can. The last thing I want to do is mess with somebody's money and bring on a disgruntled employee, so this is the utmost important for us as an organization.
That's where I'm going with this. So, right now, that's what you say, we got plans for future too. Things aren't going well, like, going around Brad and Brian and Joanne, a little more Stephanie as well. And that's on deal with part of this.
Even Stephanie?
Anyway, my question is like, okay, so some of the plans aren't working out like you planned for, let's say, 12 months from now, or 365 days from now. Do you bring in people you feel you can bring in from elsewhere? Because this is pretty much staff, it's pretty much all local. And so on, and it's great to keep people in town. The town hadn't really grown, maybe, what, 500 people since 2000, since I moved here. Watched one racer since anyway, population stayed the same.
We're going to move this on. I get it.
I
It's very
think I can
important.
quickly address it.
Yeah.
We need to hire local people. I don't have a busload of employees just itching to drive from St. Louis. Right. We work in Potosi, we work in Washington, Missouri, we work in a lot of rural communities, and those Ys are run by people who live in those communities, and they benefit from the training program that we have and a model that we.
Okay, all right. So, I got hands up over here. Circulation is going out of Duck's arm. What do you got, Duck?
Are the president employees a part of the SURF program?
Currently, as county, yeah.
If they transfer over to YMCA, are they still a part of it?
Nope. Okay. You, sir, all the way in the back.
So just put some perspective on it.
Can you speak up? I can't hear you.
Just to put some perspective on it, if some kind of agreement isn't made, what is the projected time frame for shutdown of the facilities?
That's not an option.
Okay.
Okay?
We can't do
We
that.
can't do that.
Right.
And that would be completely and totally counterproductive. How could you, I've had people tell me this stuff, well, just shut it down. Okay, the debt is still owed, okay, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I've had people tell me that, and it's like, it's completely and totally insane, it's not an option.
Right.
If that were to happen, you know, I mean, if it were to get, well, we're there. It will remain open in some capacity, but we have every optimism that, and every faith in this, that this is gonna work because it's a proven model, okay?
And then the other question I had is, so in Bloomsdale, so some of us have to travel to St. Louis for work every day.
Right.
So it's a 24-hour facility in Bloomsdale. So I get up at
Okay.
2:30 in the morning to go do workouts in Bloomsdale. Would that be an option to talk about having some kind of 24-hour facility here?
Well, Bloomsdale.
Well, I mean here.
Oh, here, well,
That's a fascinating one. It's actually new for us. We do not currently have any 24-hour facilities
Okay.
within our organization. And so we're very interested in how the Bloomsdale piece works. And we have some other communities that have expressed interest in similar.
And would that one stay the same if there's any affiliations?
We don't have any plans to change it right now, but I haven't seen what it costs us to stay open 24 hours. I don't think it's much, it's not staff, but.
right.
Okay.
We'll take this gentleman here, Under Armour.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I just want to piggyback on two things. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's anything negative about this. I mean, with change, there's a lot of uncertainty, like that sort of thing. But the gentleman agreed to, asking about community involvement and everything as well. I guess for the sake of transparency, what I'm curious about, and it's been out there and everything too, is when you said something about Brad finding out at a certain time, when basically the rest of us found out.
Well, he found out first.
Well, I know,
Yeah.
what I'm saying though,
Yeah, right.
what I'm asking though is like, for the sake of transparency, how informed was like the board here and other people that were like, people that are director of facilities, things like that, in these negotiations
They
or
were not,
anything
they
like
were
that?
not involved in it.
Not at all.
And there, and I'm gonna perfect up, and there are reasons, and I will not go into them tonight, okay? We have our reasons for why we did it the way we did it, and I'm not,
And that's,
but, now,
that's
hear
the
me, hold on,
transparency
hold on.
component, I think. that
Everybody,
people are
don't,
looking for.
don't start talking at
Absolutely.
once, don't start talking at once. We did it that way. As I said earlier, this is the beginning of the dialogue. It has been announced that we're going to do this. It is not finalized. We want input from the community. They want input from the community. I can't hear you.
Do we have a signed contract?
We have a signed agreement that's not been finalized. Okay? All right. Somebody over here had an arm up. Yes, ma'am. Cindy?
Yes. Again, it's all about transparency.
Yes.
And I know at the library board meeting the other day when you were there and I asked you guys the question.
Yes.
And you spouted off what you did about the legal
Yes.
mumbo jumbo.
That's correct.
Don't you think, this is a St. Genevieve County Community Center, don't you think that it would have been in the best interest of this whole thing had you had the board from the community center there? And perhaps, if you didn't have them all, Brad Arnold should have been included in your discussions. I think it's
Well, your point is taken. I respect your opinion. However, we made our decisions based on the climate that we were dealing with. Again, this is the beginning of the conversation. And we were advised by legal counsel not to. I am gonna go, I saw another hand. Okay, we're getting more of them. Wow. Yes, ma'am.
I just had a comment. They're talking about, will we have growth with the YMCA?
Yes.
And I feel like, and we know that community center has had limited funding. They have so much more of a greater budget, I'm sure, at the whole.
At the Y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get much more advertising. And to draw people, to let
Yes.
them know what's going on. I mean, right now, we see these wonderful, posters around town about the water park and everything, and that's fantastic.
Right.
But I think with a larger organization, they'll have the ability to get up with media and
Right.
now with all
Absolutely.
these 19,000 people.
Right.
And newspapers.
Right. Right.
Even people from the neighboring counties.
Right, and that's part of the reason we did what we did. David's fingers are going numb.
Just-
David Weber. Yes, sir.
Just a comment. Everybody's not happy about the transparency. Water under the bridge to me.
Thank you.
What you brought in with the Y looks to be a really good opportunity for this facility. And it's always been my goal for the facility to survive. I know the economic sake, so.
Yeah.
You have a good team up here, it appears, and I just hope they do everything that's right. I hope they do everything that's right for the employees, because that's my main concern has always been, is for the employees, but
Right.
kudos to the Y, they've really impressed me tonight.
Thank you, David, I appreciate that. Okay, now we're gonna go over here. You, ma'am, you in the black shirt. Yes, yes.
I have a question. Once your bucket is full, like the county's bucket is full, will you start, Corey, will you smiling for me? Will you start to spend your money on other places? I don't know if you all are aware, but we just raised over $20,000 and fixed the show barn at the fair.
Right,
And it's their building.
right.
We paid for it.
I know.
The
And
community
we-
paid for it.
and we appreciate what people do around here. We really, really do. Because of the situation's dire, I can't even begin to comprehend about any money. Legally, no money can go out of this, okay? I mean, the big thing we look at is sustainability, and it's not there. We're going in the hole. There, unfortunately, for all the best laid plans, there was never any money, there was never enough generated to be put aside to deal with things like when the storm blows the roof off and the insurance company says we're not gonna pay for it, which is what happened, okay? There was never a contingency to that. Had we not had the federal and state money, from the COVID thing, I honestly don't know how we would have paid for that repair. So the goal here is obviously to build on what we have, which is phenomenal. Everybody that's here loves this place. We've got to build on that. By building on that with the partnership, we will be able to generate more money, and with that, it will be the ability to create some reserves, which is something that has been lacking from day one. So I appreciate what you're saying, but
Yeah, I just want
the money would have to
understand
stay within this.
It's not just money for community center, like the county making money touches so much.
We're not gonna make any money.
No, I know, bringing in money, it's
Let me put in something on this too.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
And this was before I became commissioner. The original community center over there is a 25-year-old building.
Right.
That's high maintenance now. And there was, before I became commissioner, a discussion about replacing the whole HVAC system up there because it's inefficient, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it is broke, it breaks, okay?
Every day.
$1 million. Anybody got that?
We don't.
To replace that whole, it would make it more efficient. So this capital reserve fund and any money that comes over that is gonna have to be put, and this is years down the road. Things break here, things break, the water park is gonna start having to be replacing those slides eventually because they're fading. They get a lot of sunshine. That's very expensive. So the capital expenses or that reserve fund we talk about, it has to be there, and it's not there.
Right.
And so it's not like, and I appreciate your question, you brought up that with me. We're gonna be spending that right here because we're gonna have to spend it right here. And we don't have, we keep going back to this, We don't have that money spent around here. That was the grace of God for what's worth.
Right.
2 years ago, that there was that big pile of money there. It ain't there no more. And it's probably never gonna come. So, you know, these are the things we lay awake at night. We do. We don't sleep well.
You know,
because we look at what we have to deal with.
And again, I'm not criticizing anybody's decisions, but over time, particularly, let's take the example of that 25-year-old original building. At some point, and I was before my time as commissioner, there was some grant money and the decision was made to install geothermal HVAC. Sounds good on the surface. I don't know that it's ever particularly saved us anything on utility bills. If it has, that has been consumed 100-fold in repairs. It's never worked right from day one, and that's all we do is fix it. There's not a week that goes by that I don't get a call, oh, this unit isn't working, this one's leaking on the floor, this, that, the other thing. And as Mark said, we said, well, maybe we'll go back to a conventional unit. We checked into that a couple of years ago. That price was insane. The expense of operating these facilities, you think of your home times 100, okay? I mean, it is off the charts, the utility bills, all that. But that is the nature of recreational facilities. Public buildings, high ceilings, doors getting open and closed each day. Physical footprint, good Lord, okay? This is part of what keeps us up at night, is this expense of keeping this going. Yes, sir, in the sunglasses.
I have a question about the bond that we owe.
Yes, can you?
$1.5 million is
year.
our payment a year for the next 12 years, $18 million, correct?
Probably
In
with
my math,
interest,
just
yeah,
math.
with interest, yeah.
How's the YMCA gonna address that? We're talking about putting money in buckets.
It's not their problem.
It's not, so it still becomes the
Oh,
county's
it's
problem.
still the county's
So how
problem.
are you gonna pay that if the revenue you're generating is gonna be done through them? Are they gonna make a
Because,
payment to you to pay that?
because the operating costs will go down, which will allow us to have more cash to make those payments.
So they're gonna make a payment to you as the county commissioners to pay that bond every year?
I'm sorry, repeat.
They're gonna make a payment to you every year out of
No,
their.
no.
So where's that 1.5 gonna come from?
There will be revenue that comes back from them, but it's not earmarked to make the payment. The county is responsible for the debt, whether we have a partnership with them or we don't.
We continue.
And that has nothing to do with it. We owe the money, okay?
Correct.
The tax money, in theory, when it was all structured originally, the sales tax revenue was supposed to make that payment, okay? That was when everything was perfect, or as close to perfect as you could get it. That was based on the thinking that sales tax revenue keeps pace with inflation. So as things cost more, sales tax revenue comes up. It should, in theory, it should take care of it. There's also a big place, you may have heard of it, called Wholesome. Wholesome Cement, largest cement producer in the world, came in on a Chapter 100. At the end of their Chapter 100, they're supposed to come on the tax rolls. Everybody was counting on that. Well, guess what? It didn't happen. It's in protest. There's in excess of $40-some-odd million sitting there in protest. It was felt that the revenue from that, along with the sales tax revenue, would make it work. And that's the only way you could make something that doesn't make money, per se, survive. Well, guess what? It didn't work that way. Due to some things the state did, we have less tax money. Those people are contributing nothing. Here we are. So, but we're still obligated for it, and there are no excuses.
Does the community center currently give you any revenue to go against that bond?
Well, it doesn't make money, it loses money.
So where does that 1.5 come from?
Taxes.
So that's gonna continue
Taxes,
irregardless.
and then when it falls short, we have to make it up.
That's gonna continue irregardless of who operates the community
Irregardless.
center.
But by lowering operating costs, it makes it more palatable.
And expanding.
And expanding programming, everything else, it makes it easier to make that payment, if that makes sense to you. Okay. we're gonna have to wind it up here pretty soon, guys. We're going on 2 hours, but I'm gonna take like. Okay. Who's over here? Is it Kathy? Yeah, okay, Kathy, please go ahead.
Kathy Crichton here.
Yeah.
Bringing up the transparency thing, I think Matt was his name.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, you said that, you had been to city halls before, talking about it beforehand. So, it didn't go up for bid, you have like $1,000 contracts that you put up for bid, so that, this wasn't put up for bid even before this?
No, because it's not an expenditure.
It's not an expenditure, so you didn't think it needed to be put up for bid or even brought
Well,
up
there's
in
nobody else
in
that,
any way? Pardon?
there's nobody else that provides what they provide.
Nobody in the United States provides anything like this?
Not like this. Okay.
Okay, anyway, in addition to that, Mark, you were talking about, physical things for the building, because it's management that you're putting out, but that's not gonna change the physical expenses that you're still gonna be paying.
That's correct. Yeah, right.
Because you were talking about the physical expenses.
Right, which never go away and they only go up. Okay, I'm gonna take, yes, ma'am, you in the green, yes.
So, talking about the water park and memberships,
Please,
getting it to
folks.
the water park. From my understanding, the water park's the only thing making money, and if,
No, but go ahead. I'll elaborate when you finish.
well, maybe elaborate. more.
Okay, the water park, when it's open, generates revenue, okay? But it's only open in the summertime, okay? The way this works is, there are separate operating funds for this entire facility. There's a water park fund and so on and so forth, and a general operating fund. The revenues from the water park help with cash flow. So that money is sometimes used to pay for things that the money isn't coming in for. Overall, no, it does not make money. Okay, last year, if you just take it by itself, 2024, actual revenues, $886,548.58. Actual expenditures, $893.54. So, that is the truth, but that's, but if you've ever been in business, there's cash flow. I mean, sometimes a lot of bills come in and you're waiting on payments from people and it's this juggling act. What it does allow is a certain amount of flexibility to take money from there, pay some other bills over here, and then it's moved back over in the end, okay? It's a juggling act, it goes back and forth. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay. You've been waiting a long time.
So the community center does offer, certain Hispanic rates for people who say like, we're at Mississippi Line, or who work at Folsom. Will we still be honoring that for people who, you said that the memberships are gonna be taken over by the YMCA. Are we gonna still offer that for people who want to renew their membership, or get new ones?
Yes, we definitely have lots of corporate membership options that we honor in several different communities across the different states, of course, in different counties. So we definitely respect those relationships and the partnerships among those going.
Okay, I'm gonna take one more, and that would be, what, I'm sorry, what, Mark, did you have a question?
Yes, on the maintenance now, the county will continue to handle what you termed major maintenance, so if the roof
Right.
goes up again, that's yours. I'm assuming if a pool shooting COVID goes
Yeah.
now again, that's on the Y.
Okay, essentially, the Y will take care of the inside of the facility, and it's in their budget up to $5,000 cap, which is considered essentially like a minimum of type of repair. If it goes over that, then we have a discussion, it'll have to be put out for bid, and we figure out how that's gonna work. The exterior of the property, grass mowing, snow removal, parking lot repairs, roof repairs, that's on the county. Okay, Somebody said something. Okay, all right, I got it. I'm gonna take one more.
Randy, you've got all these people here, they're not
Yeah.
going anywhere. You should take as many questions as they
I
ask.
will. Yes, man, you back there on the wall in a white shirt.
Okay, obviously, the lack of transparency is an issue.
Sure.
My question is, in 5 years, when, if I'm correct, this comes up for
Right.
reconsideration,
Right.
is there going to be more transparency and more community input before that is signed again?
Sure, we'll take input from the community. As I said, this is the beginning of a dialogue. This just happened, everybody's just found out about it, everybody's shocked. We want input from the community going forward, okay?
Randy,
I got sidetracked.
Okay, Kathy, one more.
I just got sidetracked.
Go ahead.
I was, gonna request, the city, has St. John TV on all of their meetings. I would like to request that you guys put your meetings on, it's on St. John TV. I think it would help the public if you did that. I would
Well-
just like to request that. I would just like to request that. I think it would help build trust.
I think you would find it pretty dry.
I just
You know,
because I think.
I wouldn't rule anything out, but I think you're gonna find it pretty much of a snooze. This is the most exciting thing that's happened. All right.
You got one more over there.
All right, Teresa, one more.
What's the vehicle to provide any kind of input? Do they email you? Do they, I mean, how?
Our door is always open. Okay, hang on, guys, please don't talk while we're trying to talk here. Our emails and our personal cell phone numbers are public information, they're on the website. The courthouse number, you know, if you call the courthouse and you say, I want to talk to Randy, well, he's not here right now, they will give you my cell phone number, it's public information. Anytime you want to call, you call, okay? All right, so.
Take Ace.
Get this guy.
Okay, gentlemen, right there.
As Carl elaborated earlier in the meeting, you guys were allowed to keep these contractual discussions concealed, but you weren't obligated to.
We were obligated to
disclose this with the community.
No, you're not.
I guess and the gentleman in the green kind of asked that question, but
Right.
you got more into the specificities of like, oh, this is a good thing.
Our legal counsel advised us to keep.
Yes, and that's what you
Right.
said, and
Right.
what I'm saying is wouldn't it have been beneficial either to have said legal counsel present and or have a statement prepared for the reasoning you would keep these year-long contractual discussions completely concealed from such a local, close-knit community?
I will just tell you, we followed legal counsel. I will also tell you from experience that when you're trying to negotiate a contract, it needs to just be the parties involved.
We're the taxpayers are involved.
You are.
We're probably the biggest
But-
party in the room currently, clearly.
Okay. I'm just gonna leave it at that. We made our decision. Yes, sir. I'll get back to you.
I think the YMCA is gonna be great for us, but
Okay.
I think everybody has a bad taste in their mouth
I
for the way it was
understand.
handled.
Yeah.
And you've all been,
This meeting would have probably been a lot better if you'd had him up there and saying, we are thinking about doing this and what's going on and show us the numbers. I think that's
okay.
where the bad taste is.
And I agree with you, and this meeting has made that very, very obvious, okay? So, we did it the way we did it. As I said earlier, and I keep repeating it, it's the beginning of a dialogue. This is the only way to move this thing forward. That's why we entered into it. We want your input. We want it to be a success. We want the community to embrace it. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So, another question I have.
Yeah.
So, will we be having more like town meetings about, as you guys keep rushing and making changes, or like?
We certainly can.
Yeah, 'cause a lot
Yeah,
of
I mean,
people found
the
on
why,
Facebook-
we all welcome the input at this point,
Yeah,
okay?
'cause I see the people on Facebook.
Right.
A lot of people found on Facebook.
Right, right.
It'd be more better if we learned.
Okay, okay, very good.
Norma's got a question.
Yes, sir.
Is there any end in sight for our line companies and their
there legal matter as far as that money, escrow?
Well,
Is it gonna go on in?
Yeah, that's, okay. His question is regarding the quarries and the mining industries, and I don't really, again, we need to keep it contained to community center.
Come into the office.
We're gonna have a town, yeah, come into the office, we can talk to you about it.
We got an open door policy, you can
Yeah,
come in anytime.
anytime you want. And later this summer, there's gonna be a town hall, and we're gonna discuss that. I don't wanna get too far off a topic here, because if we do, it's, you know, we need to just focus on the community center. Well, it's a huge topic. It's a huge topic, and it's one that has caused us a great deal of this problem, because they're not paying taxes, okay? If we wanna go down that rabbit hole, I mean, I'll talk about it for a minute.
Is Representative Wolfen still here?
Representative Wolfen is here. Brian, your name has been invoked.
Sorry, Brian. That's not good.
Okay, so, if we're gonna go down that, I will say this. We have pleased everybody that we're gonna talk, I can't shout for you. All right, so, this gentleman asked a question, I don't know if everybody heard it, about where we stand with our reduction in tax revenues and/or also the wholesome thing. All of the wholesome issue, as far as them protesting their property tax, that is at the Missouri State Tax Commission. That's being reviewed. I have no idea the status of that. I mean, I do, but let's just say it hasn't gone anywhere, all right? When that comes to fruition, I don't know. As far as the reduction in sales tax, due to the legislation, which came out of Jefferson City, which in case anybody in the room doesn't know, was as exempt mining and manufacturing and a whole host of other industrial things from paying local sales tax, okay? We tried this year, Bryant Wolfen stood up for us and tried to get legislation passed. It had never made it out of committee. We went and testified in favor of it. The big business lobby killed it. It never made it out of committee. But kudos to Bryant Wolfen. He deserves a round of applause. Bryant caused himself a great deal of personal grief by going against the grain and standing up for that. And for that, Bryant, I am eternally grateful, because trying to get anything done in Jeff City is like pulling teeth. The commissioners have been up there no less than 6 times this year, meeting with other legislators, trying to get some action. Bryant's been helpful. You get so far, and they don't want to hear it because it doesn't fit with what their narrative is. But as I've told many people, at some point, okay, we always hear we want big business, we want business, we want business. I was a business person. I want business, okay? But when you take an outfit like Wholesome, and they're paying no property tax, and they're generating no sales tax for the county, what good are they? Yeah. They're using our resources, they're taking the natural resources out of the ground, they use our roads, they use our services, and we get nothing, okay?
We get few jobs, but the jobs don't overrun.
Both of their jobs come from outside the county. So I hope that kind of answers what you asked. I don't want to dwell on that, because we gotta dwell on this. Somebody else had a hand up. Who was it? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, the transparency, I agree, we should have transparency, because it's our taxes that we're paying.
Yeah,
We're all
thanks for
paying
coming.
taxes.
Okay.
So it's our money.
Right.
How many current board members are there for the community center?
4.
How many was there 2 years ago?
2 years ago, there would have been 7.
So why was it reduced?
It was reduced because we felt that it was in the best interest to try to, let's just say, the nicest way to put this, there were some disagreements between the county commissioners and the board. And we felt, hold on. Please let me finish, okay? We felt like also the time span that many of those people had spent on there, we needed fresh blood. That was the goal. It was reduced, changed legally through the bylaws. Originally it was 9, it went to 7, then it went to 5. Then somebody resigned, which was their prerogative, so it's at 4. Okay, next. Yes, sir, at the back.
Yeah, the YMCA, it's been mentioned that the YMCA has a proven business model for their organization. It's also been mentioned that this community center is in a very dire financial situation. What happens if the YMCA cannot pull in staff, cannot raise memberships, and this relationship becomes separated in 5 years? What is the contingency plan from the commissioners for a backup?
We just try to move forward the best we can. Like what we're doing now. If this just does not work, which I have every confidence it will, if it were to not work, or if for some reason we can't work together, then we go back to where we are. And we know what we have now. Yes, sir.
I've heard a lot of talk about expenses and stuff, but I have not heard one single thing about volunteer work. So if you guys get on board and get this moving through, I would really like to see an expansion of people being available to volunteer. I don't know if it's available and I've missed it, or it's just not being promoted. I personally would like to volunteer.
Okay.
You know, I can mow grass, I can sweep floors, clean toilets.
No, I don't think you have to worry about that.
It's actually a great point. Volunteers is at the core of the YMCA. As a charity, we are led by volunteers. It's volunteer-led, staff-supported at the association level. Jared reports to the CEO, who reports to a board of volunteers. Community leaders determine the fate of all of us as staff, and our local leaders determine the branch. So we have a different version of a board than what perhaps exists today for the community center, but Brad and I are going to work together to build a board of about 18 to 20 people that serve in a policy volunteer capacity. Then there's also program or hands-on volunteer capacities that is absolutely at the core of what we do. So bring your friends. We'll put you to work.
Okay. Yes, sir, in the green shirt.
Yes, Jim. I'm just gonna make a statement.
Yeah.
This could be the best thing that ever happens to me. It really could. You worked behind the community's back for the last year, and I think that's a huge problem. So whether this works or doesn't work, I hope it does, but you did something for an entire year, just you guys. There was no input. Not even the people that work at the community center had any input into this. And then the taxpayers had no input into this. So that's my statement, and I just can't go with that, to be honest.
Yeah. Everybody needs to register their
Kathy.
I would just point out, in the private sector, when there's mergers going on, the employees aren't brought into that. You know, it's private, financially, it's still kind of the same thing. You have to be responsible.
This is nothing
Okay. Doug.
Thank you.
Yes.
For having this tonight.
Thank you, and thank you for coming. Thank you all for. I'm sorry, there's one here. Stacy.
I just want to say thank you guys for what you are doing, because this problem was not created under any of your watches, that you are doing your best.
That's it. Thank you. Okay. We need to get the sheriff. All right, let's go.
All right, so your mayor's here, the representative is here, the sheriff's here, and the mayor's all that.
Right.
Everybody comment is very important. I understand, I've worked with you guys for quite a bit, or at least my job of fixing everything, and I do appreciate what you do, and I appreciate you letting me come in.
Yeah.
I promise you guys, these are good guys. And that's all, what I want to say now is that, just next time, just let us know. I know you got your legal or whatever, obligated, whatever.
Right.
Just somehow just kind of let us know so we're not so
Okay.
shocked. I think that's the problem, we're all shocked.
Absolutely. Right.
But
Yes, sir.
I think it is a great idea.
Okay.
Because My kids grew up here, Harley works here and everything. My kids grew up here like many of your kids. 20 years without a swim pool, an outdoor swim pool. And so on, where they had to go to Lake Forest, Farm Center, where
Right.
they paid for
Right.
rentals and so on. So when we got this thing, I was thrilled.
Right.
And I told the guys and everything that, that we need this thing regardless if it makes money or not and everything. And without you guys and Folsom and whoever in Mississippi line with the state Congress kind of screwing us.
That's
to
pretty
where
much
we're in
it.
this mess.
Yeah.
And so on, and you held it as long as you could, and
Right.
you saw ways to keep it instead of just shutting it down.
Well, that's
we
it.
We do appreciate it. We're just,
And, you know, everybody's got to realize that failure is not an option.
Yeah.
This place must remain open, okay?
Yeah.
It's that simple.
I hate to take my kids down to Cape or.
No, it's not gonna happen, okay?
Yeah, I want to be right here.
All right.
We got this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Thank you guys for
John,
trying this out.
you had another one.
Yes, I did. Back to earlier about pickleball.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have a tournament here, a fundraiser.
Right.
I think it's November.
Who do we talk to see if we got the date and the gym?
You'll continue to, Brian and Brad.
Okay.
Go with that.
So whatever schedule
As far as I
is
know,
still gonna be.
We have it scheduled, do we have to?
Right. Yeah, because there's some other events, and that's a concern, people reaching out. That's gonna be honored.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Yes, sir, all the way in the back.
Question for the YMCA people.
Yes.
So this community uses the community center for like birthday parties and events and stuff. Would you have to be a member to still rent the party rooms? Does that happen?
Yeah, those are all branch-specific decisions, but the majority of our branches have non-members that can rent the facility for birthday parties.
Kathy?
So the community uses some of the rooms and stuff for like community services for them and
Right.
nonprofits and stuff.
I've heard
We
of
continue to use those free of charge.
Yep. Okay.
That one to the left.
One to the left. Yes, sir.
Just for the YMCA folks, as a charitable organization, can you say breakdown wise, how much of a membership cost goes towards reinvestment into the programs, programming, resources, versus how much doesn't, percentage wise?
Give me just a little bit more.
I'm just curious of like, as a membership cost, how much of that is going to admin, how much of that is going to executive leadership, versus how much is actually staying and being reinvested locally?
We do about 12.5% in overhead. The rest is in cost to offer the programs, whether it be membership or program.
Of that 12.5%, 2.5% goes to YMCA USA that handles some legislative things, and about 10% to local media.
Yes, ma'am.
I am the current swim coach for our swim team.
Okay.
Can you guys please keep it? Because I've heard other places I've gotten rid of.
We have 13 swim teams right now looking for the favorite reason, and we would love to have 14, so that's exciting.
So when you guys do start talking about that stuff, if you could somehow get Brad to contact me, so I have a lot of members or swim team people are asking, are they have to pay a membership in order to be part of the swim team, that kind of stuff.
Sure, we'll include you when we start getting to that point, make sure we can work it out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, well, if there are no more questions, then I just want to say thank you for coming out. We appreciate everybody's interest. I know the Y appreciates it, and good things are gonna happen.
And I want to thank all the people on Zoom, it's still like 77 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or 34.